And we are back, and Bombers take game number 1. Rogue.
Yep.
Bombers, they started fine. Then in the middle, around the Baron, they got a bit weird.
Yeah, their comp had like a really good setup around Baron. They had like the Karma Shields and the Mundo to tank it. They had like the Kindred and the Morg to deal damage. And then they had like the Pike and the Morgana that just made it so it was like impossible for Tectonic to walk in. And they controlled the vision around it really well with all their pings. And then they just had a little bit of a slip up. They had the vision control, and Sybil kept walking in and like losing all his health. And then they just noticed the dragon was up, and they were like, "Hey, let's go get that one." And then they lost the team fight. And then they realized, "Hey, we shouldn't do that again." And then they didn't do that again. And then they won every team fight.
It's like
And
they
then they won the
were.
game.
It's like they saw something shiny and were
Yeah.
easily distracted for a second and moved on.
Mountain dragons are very shiny.
Are they shiny though? Maybe
No.
they're darker than they are shiny. But then they did end up afterwards. You were very impressed because you kept saying you liked how they were just playing to the strengths of their comp.
Exactly. Yeah, they weren't like playing so fast to like take these risks. Like the way Tectonic would get back in this game is they had like that really fed Lucian, and they just needed to like pull the trigger and like just start some messy fight and just hope to like win off that. And they didn't really give the chance to do that.
Yeah.
Because Bombers, they just, they played to their comp strength, they played with Fog of War, and they played with their pick.
Do you think that Tectonic didn't get the chance to do that, or they didn't take the initiative to do that?
I think Bombers did a really good job at like mitigating the chances for them to be able to come back into the game. But there were a lot of times, like after they lost the Baron and they were stuck in their base, like they were just bleeding out gold, and they had like Poppy with flank TP, and they had like the Gragas with the body slam flash. They just need to do something, but instead they just kind of conceded everything until like the game was over, and then they tried to fight an Elder Dragon, and then they just lost.
All right. Well, hopefully they've learned from their error of their ways and can come back strong for game number 2. Now we're going to move on. We want to do a little game around skins, but first of all, I need an update from Lauren on the stitching of my jacket, because I took the jacket up to her. I was like, "Lauren, the jacket's broken because clothes break," and I said, "I need you to fix this." By the way, Bryce says that you can't sew anything. She was like, "What are you talking about? I'm an ex-professional cosplayer. Of course I can." And then this happens. What the hell is this? What has she done to my jacket? So she definitely needs a round 2, because she's kind of put me in half a straitjacket. So Lauren, I'm afraid your reputation has been sullied. But we are moving on to a game where we rate the skins. So we're going to rate our favorite skins for 3 champions that have been picked by the room. Yours was
Alistar?
And then Jake.
Nidalee?
Yeah, and Brycey.
No.
Lulu.
Bryce
Brycey.
chose Thresh.
Brycey, answer the question.
Yeah, Nikki can shut the hell up. Bryce chose Thresh.
All right. Well, let's start with Nidalee. Let's start with Nidalee because that's the first one we got on the list. We've got the original skin. This is OG. This is classic. Jake.
No.
No.
Almost said which Jake. Nah, not a fan.
No, if you're not using skins, are you really playing
You're not
League of
playing
Legends
League.
properly?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Second, French made. How do we feel about this?
Ooh.
It's an OG one.
Yeah.
So, like the OG Nidalee players, I think only used it yesterday. They like it. I think it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, it's a good skin.
It gives you the opportunity to say something like, "I just cleaned up," and you can be really annoying.
Oh, yeah, it's a good skin.
Number 3, the Pharaoh skin.
I actually quite like this one. I used to
was
be
my
a
old
Nidalee.
school
Yes, I used to be a Nidalee main back in the day before I was good at League of Legends.
Yep.
When I thought I could play carry roles.
For the Pharaoh.
That was my skin.
Pharaoh,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
Pharaoh,
Pharaoh,
yeah.
yeah.
When I played top Nidalee,
Yes.
when I was obsessed with TPA and you'd go like Athene's top lane Nidalee,
Yep.
this was my skin.
This was your skin? Well, unfortunately, we don't have the image up, but this was your skin, Jake. Warring Kingdoms. How do
Now
you
that
feel
is
about
my
Warring
new
Kingdoms?
favorite skin. That is the best skin in the game.
Is it?
By far.
Explain yourself.
Absolutely, that is the best skin.
The spear is a missile. It's like a laser.
All the animations on that skin are so nice.
It's terrifying.
It feels real smooth, and that is the best skin in the game.
Does-
When you play Jungle Nidalee, you must use that skin.
Is this the one that when you heal, you get like the petals flying off?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I like any skin that adds an elemental effect, like when it comes to particle effects and that sort of thing. Like something outside of just the skin you've got, like the petals or something. I agree. I think that's probably my favorite one out of this list. We've also got Super Galaxy.
No.
Not a fan at all? No?
Too much going on.
And when you have a cat, and Jake would know this, you don't want your cat to become a weird robot cat halfway through. You just want
Maybe
it
you
to-
do.
No, I don't think so.
I think that's awesome.
No, I think that's an
I like
excellent
her
analogy.
little dance thing where she like rolls around, and if you spam it, like she just lays on the floor.
I worry with
cat.
the Super Galaxy. It feels like the techno ones they're a little too out of theme for me. I'm not a fan. We've got Snow Bunny.
Good skin.
Yeah,
Good skin.
Solid skin.
I
solid.
haven't seen this skin in a long time.
Yeah, like it's.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't
real
been
good,
Christmas
yeah.
in ages.
Oh, it's a Christmas one. That
Well,
makes
it
sense.
looks Christmassy. You bring it
Yeah.
out at Christmas
I
time.
think
I
it
think
was
it's like the first
Yeah,
Christmas.
literally
Yeah.
one of the first. Yeah.
And then
winter
finally,
releases.
we've got the leopard skin.
Also, good skin.
Decent,
Nidalee has lots of good skins.
Solid.
but that's not finally
What have I missed?
Headhunter because that skin is bullshit and you can't use it because the spear is invisible.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
there
skin,
it is.
yeah.
Oh, there it
Oh,
is. It is
no.
here.
If you use this skin,
You're a cheat.
Yes, you're cheating. You're a
Yuck.
bad
Yeah,
person.
right.
Also, the traps, real annoying noise.
Mm-hmm.
This is one skin that if it's in my game, I'll probably listen to music.
You're not a music guy.
I'm
okay.
not.
You're not a music guy. All right, so we've all agreed that Warring Kingdoms wins. So everyone needs to use Warring Kingdoms if they play as Nidalee for the next, like, let's say, month. Yep.
I'm safe.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I'm not even trying. I'll
Not
just
a
go play
problem.
Nunu when I get autofilled. Like,
Okay, up next, Thresh. Bryce, this is your territory. Original Thresh.
Nah. Garbage.
Do we
Yeah.
just agree? Do we
No.
all agree that
No original.
No original.
If you
we get
but
rid of the original.
specifically with Thresh, because Thresh is the support that every autofield player thinks they can play, and if you see an OG like staple no skin Thresh, you know they're crap because they've been autofilled.
this is just like I turn my chair around and Swiffer is just playing like Thresh autofill and he's got pro
Yeah.
builds up and he's like copying my pro builds and I'm like, oh, thanks, Simon.
I have bought champions that I have never played before in the game just because I like their skin and I want their skin. I start skin first and then ability second.
That is what you should actually do.
I think so
believe
as
that
well.
because I honestly, I say this all the time, but if you thematically agree with a champion and like their play style and how they look, you will get better at it than if you're trying to play against your nature. If you're an aggressive person,
Yeah.
just pick assassins and try and pop off, or pick Thresh or your new Pike phase at the moment.
Damn,
Yeah, let's not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Play Rakan and Alistar. They're good.
We've got the Deep Terror Thresh.
Best skin.
Oh, I like the
Strongly
box
disagree.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes the tire and you get the tire and you're like, yeah.
Shout out to Flying Jew for this one because
Yeah.
this was his skin back in the day, and you can spam the recall animation and you constantly walk forward, and he just like hooks into the ground and you walk forward. So like in terms of emotes,
Great
like,
emote spam.
yes, pretty good value.
Best Thresh skin.
We have Blood Moon skin for Thresh.
I like the animations on this one.
Only acceptable when paired with Blood Moon Callista. Otherwise, no go.
Really?
Yes.
So you have to
You have to
have
have
this skin. You have to have
Skinergy.
2 champions.
Skinergy is what you call it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Dark Star skin. Sorry.
This is the best emote spam by far.
See,
It's
I
got
feel
the
like
little
this
frog.
one's a
Yeah.
little bit of
The
the cheap
frog.
one.
Yeah.
I feel like out of the brush, I can't say this hook as well.
And what Rogue's talking about is your recall animation.
Oh no, it's the joke.
Yeah,
and the frog pops out of the ground, and I've named it Jared. I've named it Jared, which is the auto owner.
and
Yeah,
Jared
so
hops
I
into
call him Jared. He just
the
hops
void.
into the void, and I'm
Yeah.
like, see you, Jezza.
See you, Jezza. And then finally, we've got the Championship SK or skin.
It's okay.
Championship threat.
I like
Yeah.
blue.
I
So it's my favorite. Like,
Bryce uses only
Aesthetic?
Samsung
Once
White
again,
Thresh.
you've
Yeah.
said finally, and the good skin is Samsung White Thresh.
Oh, did that didn't get included in the list?
Yes.
Oh, is that the good one? I'm
Yes.
so sorry,
No,
Bryce.
that is the best skin.
That hook is just stupid.
He's a theory behind Samsung White Thresh. So Bryce likes Samsung White Thresh that much. So I was playing about 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago. I was
Okay.
playing a ton of 80 carry. And I was like, Bryce, joy with me. And I was like, just play Thresh, dude. Like, we need to win these games. And Bryce was like, I don't have Samsung White Thresh on this account.
Yep.
So I legitimately gifted him, mystery gift, I'm going to say 30 skins?
Yeah, you're a...
Probably 30, 35 skins.
Thanks, man.
Trying to get him Samsung White Thresh.
Yep.
Why didn't you just?
We did it. It didn't work.
Yeah,
Give him the
Jake
skin.
obviously...
Because you can't. It's a world championship skin.
Oh.
It's stuck in the vault.
Yeah.
So the only way you do it is mystery skin. So I got a couple more to go, but I'm going to get Bryce Samsung White Thresh.
Because this skin, like, it literally changes, and that's why I think Rogue hates it, like the hook animation. It comes out at a weird angle, so it feels different to play. But I just got used to it, so I literally don't use any other skin.
Now, unfortunately, I've been told by the producer we need to get in the second game, so we don't have time for the Alistar. But that doesn't matter because you know what the best Alistar skin is. It's the best
Ooh.
one in the game.
Yeah,
And it's black
awesome.
Alistar.
It is black Alistar.
No, it's Moo. It's Moo
Oh,
skin.
black
It's for
Alistar
sure
to be a
Moo.
baller, but the Moo's good, but the black just has like the aesthetic. Even though it's a shit skin, it's just like you just feel so cool.
Black
when you
Alistar
get
is
to use
best
it.
Alistar.
I just want to say the theme of the day has been bully Bryce because he's younger than anyone else, but it makes sense that Nick and Jake, the two old farts on the show, both like Black Alley because you just can't buy it anymore, and it's literally from 20 years ago.
Black Alistar, best Alistar. We are into Champions League. Game number 2 between Tectonic and Bombers. And if there is an Alistar played, it's going to be Black Alistar.
No, it's not. You can't use it in Tourney Realm.
It's going to be Zoe Morgana.
Disabled.
That's why I'm not a pro player.
Ah.
Zoe Morgana, Aatrox as well as Update Windows Key, all banned away at the moment.
Update Windows key?
Did you not see that at the bottom right? Yeah.
I didn't see it. That's unfortunate. Talia will hit the bench as well. Morgana ban, I like this one from Tectonic. Of course, that was a little bit of a problem, flexed between multiple people. It was Tiger that picked it up game number 1, and as you saw, tracking towards the end of the game, non-committal bindings were a bit of a problem for Tectonic, so respectfully banning that one away.
And on the blue side, you get to be a little bit more targeted with your ban, so they'll also be able to take away Kindred.
Yep.
Camille will remain a ban by the Bombers.
This does mean that Rakan is up and available. Trance has had a few games on that champion. I would like to see him pick it up. They just played Lucian Braum. If they pick Rakan and then Bombers aren't willing to take away Xayah, then you get another strong 2v2 matchup from Value and Trance. And look, they didn't get any kills, but individually in their matchup, they were very strong and very far ahead. The solo laners were the ones really falling behind, and they go for the same sort of strategy.
And I feel if you're playing a crit 80 carry and you get an item ahead above your opponent, you're probably going to win the game. So we'll see how it works out this time, as it is going to be Rakan locked in. See whether the Bombers do as Bryce said, and try and take away the other half of that combo.
Because Xayah isn't the worst. You can play her with many different things, but I expect probably... I mean, Tiger has had some very good games on the Xayah.
At a certain point, we were playing Xayah Alistar. We, as in Order, was playing Xayah Alistar.
Yep.
Over Xayah Rakan.
Why? Leak the info.
Just really like the Force out of Alistar. Alistar's Force feels very impactful when you get it right.
Also pre-6 as well, because you don't need to wait for level 6 before you can actually really commit to a play like Rakan.
But like, if you're an Alistar and you get behind people, like even if they have CC, like a binding hits you or you get torn back or something like that, you can just ultimate flash onto everyone, punt someone back to your team, and it is much more impactful than getting a 5-man ultimate in certain situations.
And that's the thing, right? Ali just has more options because his combo is 2 parts in terms of the CC from the Pulverize and the headbutt.
You have a displacement.
Yep, you can headbutt first or headbutt second, and they do very different things. It is ultimately going to be the Lovers Duo picked up here for Valiant Trance.
Do you know who understands that part of Alistar like better than anyone? And like, obviously, I think Rogue is a very good Alistar, and it's unfair if I say him, but I think Destiny understands that it is a 2-part combo. That you can headbutt flash Pulv in certain situations, and that's the right move. Or you can Pulv flash and then headbutt back towards your team. And I think that he makes the choice of which way you should combo on Alistar nearly better than anyone else in the league.
Because Ali is one of, like, at a base level, one of the most broadcast champions. He walks up to you and you expect him to hit you with a combo. But when you hold your combo, people sort of freak out, end up juking left and right, and kind of juke themselves to death there, and you just have so many more options.
I remember one game where he was playing with Fantix, and Fantix was playing Orianna. And he headbutted someone over the wall back into their team, and I was like, what is he doing? Flash and got a 4-man Pulv with an Orianna ball on him, and I was just like, I wouldn't have done that.
Yep.
I would have taken the single pick.
It's an impressive play.
However, it's going to be Nah as well as Darius banned away, and Azir taken off the board. It's going to be also sleeping back on the Mundo. He had a great Game 1 performance. Karma will join the bench.
This time Darius will get banned away here, so Paprise, despite going for the Poppy.
I wonder when we get Victor back in the meta. I was actually thinking about this at breakfast today.
Oh, okay.
So we've got Azir now seeing bans. We've got Orianna being picked. The last trio of broken control mages is Victor.
Didn't he get like a hilarious 100 range buff to his gravity field?
Certainly did.
Yep. So, yeah, he's got buffed, boys. Pick him up. It's going to be Swain locked in here for Tiger.
It used to be the pick into Orianna. You used to just be able to walk at Orianna with Q, but you couldn't trade back versus you.
Also, we have a lot of Victor players in the Yoke.
Yeah, we certainly do. Claire being one of the best. It's going to be a Gangplank picked up.
Very different school of thought from game number 1. Went Poppy into the Mundo, now going for the hard carry matchup, and this is very interesting from Tectonic already. Obviously, have about 15 seconds to lock in their jungler, but they have a hard force bottom lane in the Xayah Rakan. They can get onto something like a Swain Alistar matchup, and then that means that Paprise on the top side, he potentially has a little bit more freedom, unlike game number 1.
Interested they went back to the Gragas. I actually think this game you know, potentially is the Sejuani where you run it into the Trundle. It's not a great matchup, don't get me wrong, for the Sejuani, but you still have windows where you can attack it. So Gragas, a little bit harder to get your combo working, and it's going to be a Kai'Sa lock-in, so it is going to be a mid lane Swain.
Yeah, so Swain going to be in the hands of Luch. Traditional AD carry for Tiger. I like that one, but it is a very short sort of sketchy matchup between these two. Kai'Sa Alistar versus Xayah Rakan. Interested to see if he goes for a TP, or does he go for the heal? Obviously hovering the heal now, has about 20 seconds before he locks that one in.
This is a hard lane for Kai'Sa to win until she gets stealth. When Rakan dashes on you, and you've got the stealth speed up, you get out very easily. Before then, it's a little bit of a pain in the bum.
Not to mention, if you like stealth and then he hits the charm anyway, like for half the duration of the knock-up, the Xayah literally can't click you because you're straight up invisible. So the big burst from a Storm Razor AD carry like the Xayah is kind of mitigated somewhat, and it is going to be the heal locked in. So both of these bottom lanes in game number 2 sticking to the pure combat summoners of patch 8.14, of course.
This is a way bottom lane should be played.
Yes, agree.
Get rid of barriers and exhaust and all those other crappy summoners.
Barrier heal meta was the worst.
Yep. Heal, ignite. Give me the Fido.
I like it. And I'm a big AD carry fan. I hate mages. I hate it even more when Yasuo's and Aurelias were running down in the bottom lane. That was the worst.
Mordekaisers, get him out of here.
Yep. They just skew things so much for a support main like myself. I just want a little AD carry to bully around in the laning phase, and now we're back in that sort of meta, and I like it.
Because there are certain supports that are just outright stronger than the AD carry until first shot. Then there were some other supports that when they were that strong, they were outright better than the AD carries until AD carries had 6 shots. Annie.
Yep.
Zyra, Misfortune.
Brand.
Brand. Oh, Brand was...
You know what I want?
What?
I want MF back. I want Zyra to come back in a big way, and then that means MF's going to come back. MF was the best meta. Because you just got to play an AD carry, but you got to play support. You did tons of damage.
Certainly did. We are into Summoner's Rift without Misfortune, Zyra, or Annie.
Yeah, surprising.
Surprising.
Yeah. In terms of the two compositions, talking about what happened in Champs League, very tanky lineup from the Bombers. So very different from what they did game number 1.
Are they rocking both the Samsung skins?
I hope they are.
That is going to be the Rakan. That is going to be the Xayah.
We have to
very
talk about,
nice skins.
Yes. Very nice skin. Very questionable signature from Ruler. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I will just leave it at very questionable signature from Ruler. He won Worlds. He's incredibly good. May need to work on his signature.
FBI's favorite streamer. We found that out yesterday on the show.
Absolutely did. And both bottom lanes maybe just going to be starting up in the lane here.
They are like top tier.
Skins?
Yeah.
Well, they only had one as well, so now they're the... Well, and then they had the Heartseeker, and then... Because they had the Cosmic Dawn, I think, and then Heartseeker, and now...
Correct.
Obviously having the Samsung Galaxy. Alistar, level 1. Incredibly bad if you're not the first one to get access to the lane, and they did see Value walk straight up the middle, so they know their opponents are starting in the lane, so they have to walk all around the back way. Trance attempted to try and freeze this lane. You need to hold on to the minions for just a bit longer if you're ever going to, because if you let them go too early and they have time, there were changes a while back, I'm not sure what the patch, but if the minions meet each other in the middle of the lane naturally, they'll disperse and spread the damage across the board, whereas when you want to set up a freeze at level 1, you need to drag all of the minions and drop them right next to one singular melee creep so they focus down. But ultimately...
Good change, by the way, because
Yep.
as a bottom lane, a little bit harder, but as a top laner, you could hold them for like 0.5 of a second.
Yep.
And guarantee it, which was very annoying because it meant you just never got to leash on top side starts.
Yep. It's always like a top lane problem that then meant junglers' lives, which is absolutely
You had to
miserable.
start bottom of the jungle unless you could solo you can't.
Because it's funny to think about starting lanes in different positions. Back in the day, like, blue side bottom lane was just OP because you could do golems and the enemy couldn't do Gromp because...
Didn't exist.
Well, it didn't exist, and now even it's like a ranged camp that you can't kite around, and a level 180 carry is just going to cop an absolute beating from the jungle monster. So a lot of changes across the board that have benefited.
There was a point in time
lanes.
in League of Legends where, as a jungler, you would have to start like your wolf camp. Your mid laner would take your raptors, and your bottom lane would take your double golems. And you would have no camps because Gromp didn't exist. You would have 2 buffs.
And Scuttle Crabs didn't exist, so there wasn't like the free HP you had in the river to just whack away on a crab. It was a rough life. And then at the end of every season, right, it's like, hey, junglers, screw you, we're reworking everything.
Yeah.
Learn it all again.
It was like, oh, we're sorry, guys. People keep taking your camps. Don't worry, we'll fix it.
We'll get
we're
them
going to make
next
it spawn later. Well, great. Now I just don't get to gank anymore. You're not helping. Stop it.
I'm really glad that I didn't pick to be a jungler.
When Galio was a top laner and could Winds of War your Raptors, as we hold that thought, is Shock going to get ganked? That's a great rip back. Has to flash. Very nice gank.
Absolute max range on the pillar. Shoves Shock back into the middle of the lane. Gets the rip back from the Swain and has to blow the flash very, very early. Game number 1.
But what else? Oh, actually, more damage down in the bottom lane. Rosie without that Aftershock now will take a little bit of damage. Swiper used to play a lot of Galio top.
Yep.
And take, like, Raptors with his Q and then just still make it to the top lane. Silly champion.
Galio was absolutely busted. Yeah, they really do just get bullied more than any other role. Of course, Shock in terms of the gank level 1 has the heal this time around, no cleanse. So
interesting, yep.
Obviously, respecting the CC that can come out from something like an alley roam, something like the Swain as well, just not wanting to be rooted up. Xayah Rakan, as you expect in this bottom lane matchup, have found themselves with a whole lot of priority. Unfortunately, that has meant that Values just missed a few CS here and there, falling down a couple. Sleeping actually getting pretty low on the top side. Paprise is though.
Certainly is. However, now Jungler coming up here, and it's going to be their meeting. Very nice flash gank. First blood goes to Paprise, and now Seb is in some trouble. He's going to keep trying to guide this one out. Oranges, and he's okay. And now he's just getting pummeled by a Fnatic Gragas. However, Paprise came back in. They will trade. Seb's still alive, but eventually will take him down.
And that is the strength of Gragas. He gets here second to the play, but Flash Body Slam immediately picks up the kill onto Sleeping. For some reason, Paprise wanted the kill in the GP and unfortunately just dies for it, so Bombers find themselves with an answer back in that regard, but still just ultimately the 1-for-1 trade.
2-for-1.
Sorry, you're right.
And he got his Sheen first back anyway, so he's going to be all right. It's going to be Barmy Cinder picked up for the Mano in the top lane. He's just going to try and shove at every opportunity now. Has caught out Sybil, so Sybil going to have to body slam over the wall. Surprised he didn't fight him there.
Does actually deny him the crab. Wanted to start that one up and Sleeping. TP's back to lane now with the Barmy Cinder and walks straight towards the Gragas because the wave was shoving in. There was nothing he could do underneath the turret. Paprise is just farming that one up for free. So it does very nice to force him away for the time being, but Sybil just goes back up there. As Seb's on the bottom side, he will pick that one up just fine. Pings onto the Dragon, though Ocean is the first spawn, and Seb might just look to solo this one out.
Certainly can. Gragas one of the best Dragon soloers in the game, especially given the fact that he got himself a Barmy Cinder, all that additional HP. Probably has 2 Smite charges, given the fact that he also just died and ran straight back onto the map.
Yep. Not to mention when he kills the Dragon, just gets 70 bajillion HP back from his passive.
What is his passive called?
King's Tribute. Yeah. Thanks, Quinny K. Taught me that one as thank you, Mr. Observer. I really want to see him take this one down. Still has the Smite available, so from about 500, 600, we'll be able to just burst this one. And he gets there. And there you go. Now has some melons, if he chooses to take them. And he's absolutely fine. Leaves the Dragon Pit with the majority of his HP. Feeling good.
Certainly is. As we see Rakan actually caught very far out of position. Now we'll get missed time on the pole from Rosie.
Wanted to cancel the dash back there. Of course, extra range going to Xayah as Rakan. So has the tiniest fraction of a second there for Rosie to play with. Unfortunately, mistimes it, so they don't get the pick onto Trance, and they burn absolutely no summoners from the bottom lane of Tectonic.
And that's one of those times that, you sound very harsh, but ultimately that should have been a landed pole by Rosie. Should have been a cancel, probably should have been a kill. Now Sleeping, doing very well on the top side of the map, however, still just getting shot. And we saw this, was it yesterday? From Chippies, where he was down like 10 CS.
Yep.
But he just kept shooting over and over again. And then when we checked gold, like, he was down like 3 turrets and completely even in gold.
They were down like 5k, and he was like up 1,000.
Gangplank, just a very unique champion in that aspect. Yeah, he's up 700 gold. There we go. He's
already
got a kill under his belt, but he's down 6 CS and probably shouldn't be that far ahead.
Of course, Sleeping goes for the grasp, and this is a Klepto Gangplank, so wants that straight money as well. You see the red aura around him. He's picked himself up the red elixir. This might just be a return gank to the top side. Last time it happened, there was a Gragas around on the map looking for the counter, but he's actually on the bottom side. But there's a very nice ward from Paprise in the bush. Will spot out the Trundle almost immediately.
Certainly is. However, gets cleaved again. Is very low, but still has oranges, has stopwatch. You can't dive that.
Also still has the Cannon Barrage, so if they commit to the play, want to push it in, he can just farm that one from range, blow the ultimate. But if he does want to hold it now, The fact that Trundle did show on the top side of the map means that this opportunity is open for Tectonic. Blue buff, very easy steal away. There's no way for Luch to contest this with his bottom lane being shoved in. And if they wanted to go even further, this is a Xayah Rakan now hitting level 6. They can just straight up dive bot.
They certainly can, and with Cannon Barrage, they can just force them away as well. Rosie walking back up to the wave, looking to zone. You can see Shock has to burn the heal this time. The knockback will still land. Very nicely done from Luch.
Shock looking for a little bit of damage. Miss time on the W means he doesn't get a whole lot back onto Luch, but Trundle just causing a bit of a ruckus in the middle lane. Bottom lanes, though, skirmishing in the river. CC doesn't land, so ultimately they just back away.
Trans takes a little bit of damage, still level 5, and this is going to be a Gwinsu's build onto Tiger. So not the Storm Razor that we saw yesterday.
Yep. Going for the old school build rather than the semi-crit build there.
What did you think about the Storm Razor build?
I kind of like it. I like the one-item spike. Like, Gwinsu's is a very good one-item spike, but you kind of match yourself, because IE now is a very bad item if you don't have crit. And if you go for the Nash's build, and like you obviously Gwinsu's into Nash's into Death Cap, like you get very late into the game, and Order in that game were very heavily invested into AP, so they definitely needed.
Both games, they were running Talia jungles and tanky top lanes in Cho'Gath as well as Ornn.
So it makes sense in that situation. So now there's a little bit of thought between the two. One is not just strictly better than the other in all situations, and having the opportunity on a game-by-game basis to switch it up is quite nice. Sybil, once again, is spending a lot of time on the bot side. They do spot him on a ward, but they're going to have to back away anyway.
And this is great. Look at their vision control. They've got 3 control wards down there. They've got blue buff warded up. So unless they go for a hard force, there's no way they can stop this. This will just be first brick. Pre-10 minutes going down.
Shared the gold between everyone. They don't give it all to value there. So 233 pops up on all 3 champions' head.
I don't mind that. We talked about it yesterday, but if you need breakpoints onto Sybil, onto Trance, which you probably do because they don't have jungle item or Moby boots.
And that's the thing, Trance, I don't know how much gold he has right now, but probably has enough with the turret takedown to go back and maybe buy himself some Moby boots. Brown bags is the answer, and a nullifying, so maybe just had about a 100, 150 maybe short of the Mobies, so didn't want to go for it.
Got himself a second pink ward as well as a potion, so probably could have stretched. However, potentially also just wants to have Merc Treads. One of the most annoying things as a Rakan is if you get CC'd and you can't find your engage.
And in terms of item breakpoints, Paprise very early into the game, only 10 minutes and 40 seconds, gets himself a Triforce, so feeling very good about the top side. Did trade kills back and forth, did die, but answering the 2-for-1 has been very good for the Tectonic top laner.
Yeah, and they're up a fair amount of gold right now. 1,700 will be the value, and certainly looking good across the board. 1,000 of that is on their top laner.
Feeling very safe. Of course, the traditional play in competitive League of Legends, you break the bot turret. They did it very easily without burning cooldowns. Actually, hold that thought. Rosie is around, but with the bottom lane of Tectonic floating down the river, no vision in the jungle, they don't commit to the play.
Over the wall goes Sybil. Maybe we'll look for the knockback here. Doesn't actually throw it, and that will be the ultimate, and he throws it at the wrong point. Trance will flash after. Did not get the tag. That is the change to the Rakan ultimate that kind of nerfed him.
Radius not as big as it once was. Sybil, unfortunately, throws them away from the play, so Trance tries to dash a little bit further, but can't find his way to the play. Of course, as I was talking about, lane swap is initiated by both of these teams. Bombers willing to match this one, which is actually Rosie. Still willing to contest this. That's Sleeping actually walking all the way from bottom side. Cannon Barrage was used, and he's all the way up here.
And Shot gets flash, pole ripped back, and now will get knocked up as well. Shockwave will land onto 3, but Tiger goes over the wall and picks up a kill.
And he has the flash. He could have flashed the headbutt, maybe get himself to safety, but chooses to hold on to it very late. Short use on the summoner at the end of that play, and Bombers, they take a hard commit. They lose some CS in the side lane. GP is getting a little bit further ahead, but maybe looking at the scaling and are like, look, we don't want to take this one the distance. We need to make things happen now and want to contest the Rift Herald.
It's going to be a tough contest still, however, because Teleport is available. And they've got 4 members here. Charlie doesn't do all that much damage if you dodge the Haymakers, however, which Tiger apparently can't.
Tiger's got a very strong chin. Just brushes that one off. Of course, in terms of the mid-engage from Tectonic, they burnt Rakan ulti, they burnt the Gragas cask, and didn't get a kill for it. So the fact that Rift Herald takes so long to set up and actually take down, and Seb got a recall, regened all of his HP, walked back to the play, and they were still able to contest whilst Tectonic don't have ultimates, so they didn't want to commit too hard. Bombers do very well to pick themselves up a Rift Herald into a losing side of the map. The bottom lane from Tectonic, they took down the turret very early.
Not
Still
only
looking to
has,
solo this one out.
Paparazzi's got himself a pre-10-minute Trinity Force this game. He just got the upgrade on his ultimate at 13 minutes into the game. So he's been CSing very nicely with the parlay.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of doubloons, feeling pretty good. And actually, Tigers hit us with the old bait and switch, is going for the Storm Razor. Had double dagger, of course. One of them will build into Storm Razor and then going into the next Zeal item, but maybe just wanted the efficiency. Had 600 gold to spend instead of the 900 or so to get that pickaxe.
I also think it's boots a couple of daggers. Maybe it's not actually. I was going to say, what is the upgrade in that regard? However, now dropping the Herald mid lane, collapsing with 4 members, this mid lane turret will fall.
Absolutely will. Shockwave is still there from Shock, but nobody really stepping up for that one. And that was multiple members committed to the top side. You see Trance and Sybil actually leaving the base now. They were looking potentially for a dive up into the top side, but Bombers read the play pretty early. They were like, look, we're not going to be able to defend this turret. We just sack it, get the early reset, go mid with this Rift Herald, and they trade 1 for 1, albeit with probably a better turret in the middle lane. So doing very nicely to trade across the map, despite being pretty significantly behind very early on in the game.
Yeah, 2,300 gold down. Luch will grab himself that blue buff, level 11. Nothing to scoff at for the Swain. Another dragon going to be taken. This time it's going to be by Tectonic. They do have control of the bottom side of the map. However, need to make sure they get up top because Tiger and Rosie are still pushing in.
Middle lane might just be getting a little bit flanked on here. Trance looking for some deep vision. Linking up with the jungler of Tectonic. Seb just waiting in wings. Hasn't showed on vision just yet. Now will. Well, that's a very fast Orianna.
Yeah, Gangplank ultimate use top lane. And you can see that Paparazzi stayed there for a very long time to just get himself a BF sword, so he had to use the ultimate to clear out the wave.
And it will be fine if they can just make sure absolutely nothing happens. At this point, that was a big chunk. Sybil predicts.
Very nice prediction, and they will get the charm as well. Ignite is down. Sleeping is scratching his head. Great play.
One of the most animated player cams in the OPL there. Very disappointed with that one. Outplayed, out and out there by Sybil, and throws him back into the rest of the team. And this is what we were saying. If they can make the game stable across the board where they don't have Cannon Barrage, that's good. It's even better if you're actually the team getting a pick. So turret trade in for Outer here. Bombers looking like they're maybe sticking around for a little bit. Tectonic do opt in for the recall, not willing to contest onto the inhibs very early on into the game.
Yeah, don't want to race at this stage. Both teams would feel like game is not yet over. However, Sleeping falling a little bit further behind now. Needs to start being a little bit worried about the Gangplank. If Gangplank can ever solo you in a side lane whilst being one of the best damaged team fighting top lanes, you're struggling. Yeah, let's just put it that way.
For lack of a better term, you are probably more than struggling at that point. CS lead, gold lead, item lead there for the Gangplank, as you talked about. And Value is a very willing executioner's purchaser. This is 2 games in a row. He's gone for a very early pickup on that item. Now into Amundo once again, but the Swain as well, the Trundle, all of these champions are very healing dependent. So very nice to pick that one up very early on in the game. Not going for a Zeal item secondary, just copping the 800 gold.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yep.
This is one of the things that I like about Storm Razor, is it would have felt horrible if you had BF Sword and you had to go, or BF Sword Pickaxe and you had to go towards it, but Storm Razor gives you a little bit more just as a 1 item spike, so it doesn't feel, still feels pretty dodgy, but feels okay.
I mean, if you're ahead, doesn't feel that dodgy. You're basically even down, what, 2 daggers for a tiny bit of AD that you get for the item, so
Sure.
ultimately is okay. This turret is incredibly low. Alistar is on the flank, though, and Sybil gets ripped back underneath the turret.
Yeah, 3 members on the flank, however, no. Oh, that is a very nice pillar, and Trance was out of E range, so had to use the W.
I think it must have been on cooldown there. Uses, yeah, actually the knock-up to get himself out of the pillar there.
Because even if you got knocked out of the first one, there is a second one you can generally use to follow up with it.
And that's a
We're talking about the battle downs here.
huge wave at the top side of the map. Means Luch has to go up there and answer. Now Tectonic going to take swing number 2 with this mid lane turret. Is incredibly low. Luch actually rotating down, so Bombers know they want to defend, but if they stick around for one more wave, Luch is going to have to walk down to defend the turret and probably sack hundreds of gold up into the top side. Tectonic not willing to stick around for this one, and they're just contesting the jungle right now.
Cut off the rotation as well between the 2 groups of the Bombers, and red buff is about to spawn, so should be all of Tectonics right now. And just very nice slow play control coming out of the Kiwi lineup. They're looking to once again contest this turret. A couple of autos should do it. In goes
there we
Rosie,
go.
how a flash headbutt pole. Tiger on the back line looking for a trance. Will zone him away and will be able to dash out. However, Luch is now here. Level 12 Swain. Very nice ultimate coming out of Sybil, but the Gangplank has not yet rotated. Shockwave onto 2, and this still looks like a winning team fight. One auto attack will do it. They both live on nothing, but you can see now the re-engage is there. Very nice never move. Means that Bombers will escape.
And they make a huge proactive play. So many flashes burnt. The Swain, the Trundle started off with Rosie, but ultimately not enough to actually get a kill. Tectonic, goal lead in their hands. They're now round number 3, get that mid lane turret, and they're pushing for more.
They certainly are, and that was all a 4v5, so the hardest force they could go for. Flash combo was there, and it still does not net them an advantage in a numbers mismatch. Bombers now need to be very nervous about this game.
And honestly, we're only 18 minutes in, but that was one auto attack away from being a double kill for value, picking up both Tiger and Luch in the back end of that fight. If he didn't delay for half a second, stutter step forward instead of backwards, he would have picked himself up. Both of those kills in that fight would have looked even worse for the Bombers, and they were the one looking for it, so...
He had flash. He could have had it if he wanted it, but seems to be one of these 80 carries. It's a little bit more slow in their play.
And that's surprising. Based on what I've heard around the traps, is obviously mechanically fine as an AD carry, but one of those players that does look for the big outplays, and unfortunately, here and again, falls down, bites off a little bit more he can choose. So coming onto the OPL stage, obviously it's the first week of competitive here in Oceania, so maybe a little bit of nerves or anything like that.
The other thing is sometimes when you are the carry, especially around solo queue and the traps like that, you feel like you have the liberty to go for those plays. I would argue right now, if you've got Paprise, who is 203 CS at 20 minutes and has 2 items on Gangplank, your role in the team is to not throw the game while he's trying to win it for you.
And I feel like don't throw the game has been exactly what we've seen this series. Bombers game number 1 had themselves the lead from very early, and they played it very slow, very calmly. Rogue was talking about around the Baron. They could have ended it maybe a little bit earlier if they were willing to make risky plays, but they just take the safe options. Now the roles are reversed here. Tectonic with just about a 5,000 gold lead, and they're playing it safely.
Dragon about to spawn must be a good one, as all the teams are converging in that area. You can see Sybil is a little bit worried because with the likes of a Kai'Sa and a Trundle, Bombers certainly have a very quick Baron. However, this Dragon going to fall down, and it was a good one. It was an Infernal.
Feels very nice for Tectonic to pick that one up. Bombers do the right thing here. They don't want to go for the contest. They say, look, we're not going to win a team fight right now. We just used all of our flashes on that mid-engage, and it did not come up with a good, so they use that time where they know exactly where Tectonic are on the map to go topside, get themselves a whole bunch of wards, and if you take a look at the map, it looks super inefficient. They place them all close together, but they're just in really weird, unique positions. Maybe if you're incredibly smart, Tectonic, one sweeper will be enough, but it's probably going to have to be a double sweeper job to clear out all of the vision the Bombers have placed around the Baron, so buying themselves at least 3 minutes before that objective will be able to be taken.
They do have good turn on the side of Tectonic. Gangplank gives you that for free off Baron, because all you have to do is really drop the ultimate, and they're forced to make the decision immediately. Do we sit in this big AoE damage, or do we back away? But they still don't have an out-and-out tank. Gragas has gone for the blue upgrade, so will struggle a little bit in that tanky department. So I don't know whether their Baron is the best this game, Bryce.
That's the thing. Maybe just threatening the Baron is what they want to do here, not looking to actually ever contest that one. In terms of a scaling game, you would definitely favor Xayah, Rakan, Orianna, and a Gangplank, things like that.
Yeah.
There are options in terms of once Luch finishes maybe his Zhonya's here, Swain will be at his peak in terms of usefulness and damage in a team fight. You have Tiger, once he finishes that Guinsoo's second item, he can pop off, and Kai'Sa scales very well, so maybe it's 6 items, you absolutely favor Tectonic. But in terms of the mid-game, if Bombers don't fall too far down behind, there's definitely an opportunity with some outplay to win a fight.
Very surprised by Shock's build. Got himself a Haunting Guise.
Yeah.
The item on Orianna, I'm going to say off the top of my head, would suck.
Because you need to be in a fight for longer.
Yeah, you need 10 seconds, like 5 seconds ramp up.
We have seen, over the course of time, some Nash's Tooths from Power of Evil. Orianna has some weird builds. Maybe, because looking at Bomber's comp, here's me trying to rationalize the Orianna build, right? You look at Bomber's composition, Rosie's going to go in, Seb and Sleeping have to just keep walking forward, and Luch is going to do the same thing. So you're sitting there with your ball, just like queuing time and time again, just waiting. And if you can ever ramp up to that 10% fully stacked Leandries, and you get all that bonus damage, then maybe your Shockwave does a huge burst, more so than if you went for a standard second item. But that seems like a pretty niche situation when you are just ultimately a burst mage in a very standard composition.
Because the idea behind Orianna in comps like this is that you don't Shockwave the front line unless your carries are more fed. So the situation would be, if I Shockwave Sleeping and Rosie, and Value can kill them in that burst, then that is a good thing to do. But otherwise, you should be hovering it where Tiger and Luch are and trying to disrupt the back line. Because if the back line can never really collapse onto your front line, then it doesn't matter that your tank isn't tanky, because they're just not able to hit him safely.
Yep.
So I think that, you know, something like the Morellonomicon probably still would be a better item choice.
And it is also interesting because the double carries from Bombers. You have a Kai'Sa that when Alistar goes in, will just dive the backline. We've already seen it this game. Tiger's been willing to go in. We saw it yesterday from FBI as well. Luch on the Swain, he's a champion that wants to dive the backline as well, get in there with the Zhonyas and just cause an absolute ruckus. So he's a bit interesting. Has now actually completed the Leandrin. We were speculating when he had the Haunting guys, but ultimately just commits to the play because it's not like, now with the addition of Oblivion Orb, it's not like the old school Haunting guys where you just sit on it for the magic pen. So very different across the board. 24 minutes, Baron's been up for a while, and Tectonic have had vision control for the entirety of that time, but as we talked about, not willing to actually start it up.
Gangplank went back, got himself a completed Lord Dominic's Regard.
Huh. Yeah, that's all right.
Big boy, he's going for the kill as well now. This is without any kind of healing reduction. Pops the ultimate, flashes on his head. Can he actually get him? Will not hit the keg in time, and now Sleeping turning it around, and he's starting to eat him. Pat Price will have to burn the stopwatch, but Sleeping should get him hands on head, and that is Sleeping outplaying the top laner of Tectonic.
And what the hell was that? Goes for the barrel, gets outplayed by Sleeping. Maybe thought Sleeping was going to go for the auto attack. Sybil actually looks to go in.
That's a very nice charm, very nice knock-up. Flash forward from Value and Shock, and they get the kill.
They do, but now with no pressure in the side lane, with no GP, do they actually start up with a Baron with that sort of pick? Paprise is so far ahead. He shouldn't be dying to the Mundo at this stage. If he actually got that solo kill onto Sleeping and then they find this pick onto Tiger, that is Baron and probably an ended game within the next couple of minutes. But unfortunately, a little bit of a fumble from the Kiwi lineup here, and Sleeping now on the Mundo gets himself a turret kill against the Gangplank.
And the game can turn in very strange ways, and Sleeping looked like he was dead here, bro.
And that's the thing, tanking up the turret, the healing from Sleeping is enormous. Flash buys himself a little bit of time and he gets the Summoner. But that right there, mistimed parlay onto the keg, means that Sleeping just immediately turns around. Actually, hold that. Baron, 2,500.
Yeah, got it very low. Nice pillar on the back line. Means that they can't really get themselves out of here. Luch is keeping the back line busy. Shock is very low. Trance is going to fall down potentially. Rosie also very low. Three-man Shockwave. However, it is still just a 1-for-1 with supports going down. And now Tiger is here. Gets one. Pat Price has to run away. Tiger will flash over the ball, still take damage, but will take down Shock. Double kill for the 80 carry of Bombers, and they wipe him.
And from a 6,000 gold lead to absolutely throwing the game, Tectonic across the board. Start up the Baron, but Sybil just sitting in the pit with one other teammate waiting for the damage to be there. They didn't want to opt in for the 50-50, but Bombers, they just collapse. The carry's free to do exactly what they want. They take down the rest of the lineup, and that was a smite and a half, but it doesn't matter if they're dead.
And the strength of Orianna around Baron is if they come from one direction, you control the pace of the fight. Well, this fight, they come from everywhere.
And look how split it is from Tectonic. They go for the fruit, double rip back from Luch, and that's Trance and Sybil sitting in the pit, absolutely alone, doing nothing. Shockwave lands onto 3 members. That did so much damage, but it wasn't even enough. The setup just wasn't there from Tectonic. They played it so sketch, and once again, Sleeping just chases down the Gangplank.
And Luch was MVP of that fight. He was 1v3 fighting towards the bottom side of it and just absolutely kicking ass and taking names.
And off the back of it, they go get themselves an Infernal Drake. So
Yeah,
from a situation, you look 5 minutes ago, Gangplank buys a Lord Dominic Regards. Straight off the bat, has enough gold for an out-and-out item, 6,000 gold lead, immediately dies in the side lane. His team loses Baron, and then the enemy team RNG's a Infernal Drake. All of a sudden, this game is absolutely flipped on its head.
It was 1-1, probably 4,000 gold up. Now, tank items being so much more cheap and Sleeping having a Warmogs is still 1,500 gold up, but the rest of his team, not so much.
feels a whole lot weaker. Third item is almost completed here for the Kai'Sa, working on either the Rapid or the Shiv. I expect it's probably going to be the Rapid at this point. Same can be said for Value, actually working on the Infinity Edge there, so AD Carry's not quite hitting that 3-item mark just yet, but Bombers now find themselves in control of the map. There's so many turrets to take, the entire inner ring is up and available. Rosie flashless on the Alistar, but still looking for a flank down here on the bottom side. Trance checks it with the Q, but finds absolutely nothing.
Like this play, just going to continue to siege up. We've already mentioned Orianna is a very good champion defending the siege. So they will just instead stay in the jungle, not overcommit resources, go get mid lane wave, and they're looking for a pick.
But that's the thing, I'm surprised they're actually just setting up for a pick. Tectonic playing this one very tentatively here. Trance probably going to check this one with a Q.
Good
Does,
rip
but they
back
do get the
there.
rip back.
A little bit of damage coming across, and they just know that they can't really push the tempo in this way.
And this is the situation Bombers need to be in. Not on one wave, because Orianna, plus the threat of a Gragas, Xayah Rakan can pull the trigger immediately. That's enough to dissuade the push, but getting priority in 2 means that you have the fast track through the jungle and you can float between them as you please. Now, that sort of setup nets them the easy turret take as Paprise, despite being incredibly strong, does just have to back away.
Because you're right, nothing comes easy against an Orianna. We saw Swiffer yesterday as people were approaching the wave, shockwaving the wave, pulling them back in, making it a forced turret dive when teams didn't want to go for it. And they still have good damage coming out of Value at this stage of the game, as well as Paprise. They can certainly win a team fight. So playing those 2 lanes means they get themselves a turret, means they can now grab that big wave topside for Luch and just slowly regain control, because they were 4,000 gold down before they took that Baron. So the fact that they're now equal nearly is a very good thing.
And that's the big point to make. That Baron wasn't like a game-winning Baron. That was a get you back in the game sort of Baron, and now they equalize across the board. Scaling advantage, as we talked about earlier, is still relevant. If this game goes the distance, if Bombers can't close it out, now with the Baron buff, with some more items on their carries, it makes it a lot easier from the position they were in. But if they can't get it done in the next, what, like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at that point, then well and truly the crit 80 carry, the Orianna is going to be completing her build. Gangplank is already approaching that 6-item cap, so scaling-wise still definitely favors Tectonic across the board.
Certainly does. A couple of items need to come out pretty quickly, you would argue. Luch probably needs himself a Void Staff.
Yep.
As this game progresses to just continue to do relevant damage. And you can see that right now, Tiger, Headbutt Pulp is actually there. Rosie, probably the wrong mistake. Now they will get charmed up and will fall down. Strange play. Was not expecting that.
A couple of seconds off the flash, so no ability to get out there. Both of the supports looking for a flank. Rosie thought he'd found a pick, but Trance sitting behind around the red buff gets himself between the cow and the rest of his team. So just a very easy takedown, and those mistakes can't happen for the Bombers at this point. It's those that are going to cost them time, and time is the name of the game for them. As we've been talking about, Sleeping, now max level 18. He's approaching that match build mark, and picks like that are just going to buy Tectonic access to the top side. They're now shoving in and threatening turrets.
Wonder what the next item is out of Paprise. We've seen so many different items be built by Gangplank. Hasn't gone with Asterisk for all of this game.
Yep.
Which is what we normally see early. So I wonder if he has something else in mind, as he is actually fighting Sleeping right now. Sleeping is kind of just running around, tickling him.
Because I could see a few different options, like PD or Shiv, if you just want to go straight up for damage. Sterax to make you beefier in a fight, things like that.
I would argue more, given the fact that Luch is just probably going to be standing next to you the entirety of the fight.
So has options across the board here. Recall's now coming out. Trance actually working on his Shirelias.
Big cow.
So he has a huge elixir of iron. And as you mentioned, it's pretty damn big, and I wonder what size his jumpsuit is. How many X's in front of the L?
Couple of XL, I reckon.
Yeah.
Although, if you saw,
Oh,
they've
Sybil.
bought out Sybil here, who is window shopping and will burn the flash and will still fall down. That is very questionable play out of Tectonic's jungle.
Straight up basing on a ward there. Around the corner, they had absolute vision. Rosie does actually have to burn the flash in the back end to try and take him down. So it is a trade of summoners, and probably a bigger deal that they take it from the Alistar, given that he's really the only form of engage for Bombers lineup. But a pick is a pick, and they get vision control around the Baron, and I expect this might just be another Infernal. It's spawning before the Baron spawns, and they're all going down towards the bottom side of the map, and it is.
It's not bad.
It's going to be the last one of the game. Each team having one of them wanting to stack that one up.
There's going to be a Hex Shrinker coming out of Paprise as well. So that's going to be the more Malmortius eventually picked up. Not a very expensive item build he's going for, Bryce. So the infinite scaling of Gangplank is certainly not going to be here in this game because he's done.
I mean, he can start trading things out if he wants to, and when you're completing your build at 30 minutes into the game and you die with a GA and you lose that active, straight up just go back, sell it, buy a useful item for the next couple of minutes, because it is really team fights at this point that are going to put the nail in the coffin. It's more about immediate effectiveness. Tectonic, because they sack the Dragon, now maintain complete priority of the top side of the map, have all the control around vision. They don't have pinks here and there, a lot of completed inventory. Sybil still holding onto his as is Trance, but they're definitely looking to get onto the Bombers here. Seb playing it very slow.
Rosie goes over the wall, double headbutt, pulverized, rip back is there. Sybil again does not have the flash, so will fall down.
And this is 2 games in a row. Bombers have been constantly finding picks onto the jungler of Tectonic. Such a nice setup. You can tell they read the play. Rosie initially just walks the long way around, gets into the Krug camp, behind multiple members there. They take down the Gragas, and now they're going to start up the Baron.
And once again, they do have a good turn comp. Baron will take a lot of damage. Rosie headbutt, pulverize is there. We'll go onto Shock, and now they just continue to chase them out.
Yep, get both summoners out of the Orianna. Half HP on the Baron here. The contest is up here for Tectonic. Is it? No, they just back away. GP ulti Cannon Barrage gets thrown down, but they see Smite fight with no jungler is heavily one-sided, and ultimately they just leave it for Bombers.
And if Shock doesn't have summoner spells, there's just no way he can reapproach unless he gets around to the team. Was not going to be able to do that in time, so the Bombers now with the Baron. Again, pushing down middle lane.
No resets needed to come out. They have the stopwatch there for the Kai'Sa, so he has the safety. They have such a huge front line. This is going to be the Baron that will end the game for Bombers if they're going to win this game. They have to make a play here. They can't be willing to just play it incredibly slow. Barrel lands onto multiple people, does a significant chunk of damage onto 2 pretty tanky members.
Certainly does, and they clear out the wave surprisingly quick for a Baroned up wave.
Yep. Double Energizer items here for the Xayah, so doesn't go for an early Last Whisper. No Molder or Mitre upgrade for the Executioners, so has the AoE there, has the feathers to go through, and not to mention the Orianna and the Gangplank clear it out incredibly quickly, so...
It's also true damage now, so Last Whisper certainly not as important as it used to be in these situations, just given the fact that you're going to be critting a lot for the true damage on IE. Should probably get rid of Storm Razors now. I would expect, you know...
Before Mortal?
Potentially. I would say something like the upgraded QSS is very important if you're a Xayah, because if you ever get ripped back and deleted, you do no damage.
That's pretty bad.
I'm just, like, there is no safety. I mean, Rakan's going to be flying into it. Sybil, at this pace, is probably going to be caught out before the fight starts.
You can't do him like that. Rosie.
A lot of damage coming out.
It's a huge crit to the face there. Trance may be caught out here. No.
It's all right.
Dashes to the 80 carriers. Another turret's going to fall down. They didn't quite break the base, but the inner ring is completely broken. 2 members in the mid lane, so Bombers, if they go very quickly, may be able to find themselves with a play onto the turret, but the wave gets cleaned out as Tectonic do well to hold again.
And they are doing very well to hold here, Tectonic. You can see that the Mundo is starting to push waves in, but Value still just auto-attacking these waves freely in. Does a lot of damage.
And I feel like it's all based on Rosie's flash cooldown. They don't have that up. It will be up in about 30, 40 seconds before they can look to set up a play, but Baron buff really not useful in its entirety there in terms of breaking the base for Bombers, which they want to be doing because they don't have their singular engaged. Or Rosie's been at the forefront of every single one of the picks this game, has been finding the flanks on the Alistar multiple times. He was the member getting behind the mid lane when ultimately they lost the fight, but that was their first proactive play. And with the double Infernal Drakes, with the Baron buff, you would expect a composition to be able to actually break the base in this situation, but...
So do you think that Tectonic Bombers get outscaled that badly? That, you know, the Kai'Sa will be that much further behind Value right now? Infinity Edge has been picked up for the Kai'Sa.
I think it's not about the Kai'Sa, because she matches very well. Kai'Sa is a hyper carry. It's more about GP and the Mundo and Shock in terms of the Swain. Swain, one of those champions that doesn't have huge burst unless you let him get onto the back line. If he has the Zhonya's, but he's like, spikes pretty heavily in the mid game, does a whole lot of sustained damage, but team fights are going to be won and lost this game when you have a Gragas, when you have a Rakan on the initial engage, and it's going to be down to Shockwave.
Shockwave onto 3 members. Flash headbutt Pulp comes in, and that is Shock getting absolutely deleted. Paprise isn't even here, but they will continue. A great rip back, and you can see Value right now is popping off. Flashes forward onto Tiger. So much damage. He's out of the fight. Now Sleeping just trying to kite around. Have a very nice rip from Luch. He eventually will fall, and this is Value just pumping out so much damage. Does he get the rip back? He does. Triple kill for Value.
And he's absolutely popping off on the backside. They defend the base once more. That's the Baron gone for Bombers. That was their one stand. They used Rosie's flash to counter-engage the fight, but it's too little too late. The Shockwave lands, and they just don't have the damage to follow up.
And Value was untouched the entirety of it. In fact, he got to flash forward aggressively, and they have actually caught vision of Tiger somewhere. They know he's around.
He shows on a ward right now. Might just be a blue, but they know exactly where he is, looking to get a recall off, but he's going to be running for a very long time. I'm surprised they're chasing. Just leave the AD carry. You can push straight up the lanes, but no, the call is to commit onto Kai'Sa here.
Elder Drake is coming up in 20 seconds. They feel like if they can kill Tiger,
He's
they
out.
can get it, but he is out. He's zooming away.
Ring around.
Potentially, they're not going to be able to get the reset on Tiger before the Elder Drake, so still maybe mission accomplished.
Yep. Ring around the Rosie gets him to safety. Unfortunately, Fleet Footwork gives him a nice little move speed boost to get out of the mid lane. This is going to be an Infernal Ocean Drake. Doubled up here with the Elder Dragon, sorry. So Tectonic in a team fight. If they can win it without that, if they can win a team fight into the Baron, then you definitely think they can do it with an Elder. And I want to talk about Luch in this fight. He goes in, Tiger goes in, and they both stopwatch immediately. So Value doesn't have to worry about anyone actually committing to the chase here. Tiger goes forward, and Value flashes for the 1v1. 2 auto attacks is enough to basically kill Tiger in the back end. And at this point, it's just tanky members just being eaten alive by the Xayah. And Bombers, they needed to win that fight. Value does so much damage when he is untouched, when he has Rakan hitting him with the shields, keeping him alive with that Zeke's proc, and just monstrous.
Now has Immortal Reminder. You can see more of Malmortius finished up. Really Shock, the only one that needs farm still.
Yep.
Surprised that Value's still taking it. Obviously wants himself like a Bloodthirster, or, you know, maybe something like the Merc Scimitar.
Maybe he's just a greedy AD carry. Maybe he just wants the farm because...
I think Storm Razor at this point of the game is pretty much useless.
Yep.
You want to trade that out for something.
Pretty good as a 1-item spike, but when you get to 6
passive
items,
is
it's
nothing now.
Yep. Doesn't even matter when you're critting on every auto attack. The first one doesn't actually matter. Elder Dragon's going to tide them over to the Baron, which is spawning in about 45 seconds.
Rosie got hit by a ripback of 3 feathers. That sucks.
Took 25% of his HP. Tectonic, as you expect now. Trying to get some control around the top side. Bombers find themselves with a Crab and a Pink Ward that actually hasn't been scouted out in the blue pit. So if they want to go for a flank play with Sleeping, there's definitely the opportunity. They ping the ward out now, actually, and Shock doesn't check the bush either, so Tectonic have absolutely no idea it's there. W lands onto Value.
That's good damage.
Only 5 items here for the Kai'Sa, as 6 picked up by the Xayah on the back end. There's mid-priority.
That's going to be a Bloodthirster as well picked up for Tiger. Nothing else builds out a BF sword nowadays, I don't believe.
GA, maybe?
Potentially.
As that's just going to be the straight start up. They have the Elder still, not for long, but 20 seconds will be enough if they want to choose to fight around this, so they're forcing Bombers to come to them.
Certainly are, and Paprise is tanking it up at the moment. 3,000 health left. If they're going to commit to it, they need to do it now. Trance grabs the ball, in he goes, and will be able to get a nice ultimate. However, this is now a 5v4. Luch already has to go into Zhonya's, and Value is doing so much damage, but Tiger goes and gets him and shuts him down. And now it is just Shock and Paprise trying to put in the damage. GA will be popped, and they will try and zone away for their top laner. He will try and run very quickly and get out. However, they don't really have the persistent damage to go with it, and Sleeping will clean him up. Now the flank is here. You can see Seb trying to head around the long way, but with Baron, they should be out now.
Do they actually commit to it? Seb has the pillar. They have the rip back from the Swain, but that's a whole boatload of damage. And Tiger with the miracle play. They lose the Baron. 2 members do live for Tectonic, so they get the buff at least onto someone, but the Kai'Sa diving onto the backline, immediately taking down Value, really turned the tide of that fight.
Certainly did. Just a really brave play coming out, diving onto the enemy AD carry, getting him. Flash headbutt, Pulp comes there, and that is going to be the rip back. However, not going to be able to pick up Shock yet. Shockwave is about to come off cooldown. There it is, it's a 3-man Shockwave again, and Luch will fall down. Now it's just the tanks, and that will be a very nice tank. Chucking Sleeping back, a double kill for Shock.
And there's the Leandries. In these sort of fights where you're just getting chased down by an Orianna, he does so much damage on the backside. They're committing to the play here.
Scottish Egypt coming out at the final hour, ladies and gentlemen. As there's a big creep wave bottom lane, there is no teleport available, but potentially Sybil will just go and lend his Baron buff to that wave.
If they can get there before it gets cleared out, Seb doesn't have a Tiamat, so doesn't do a whole lot of AoE damage. That's triple cannons, 70 million range creeps with the Baron from Sybil. This is going to be an easy siege onto the
There is another one that has just showed up on the far right.
He's brought his friends.
And there's still 10 seconds left on Luch, 15 seconds left on Sleeping. However, Trance is back in the base. So they will just take 2 inhibitors and probably back away.
Do they go top? Do they commit to the play? No, they do back away, as you say. Top lane is the only inhib left spawning on the map. Death time is now ticking over for the Bombers members, so Lucian Sleeping back up and available. Tectonic respected it.
Teleport coming in, this is actually going to be the fight. Sleeping behind all of them. That's a huge pillar, and Shock will fall down. No, he's still alive. Shutdown will come across. Finally, Shock is out of it. However, Rosie punted Pat Bryce over the wall. That is not what you wanted. However, now Luch caught him out, will explode, will pick him up, and that is 2 members dead, and the fight continues. Value takes so much damage, and they just cannot run quick enough. Has to burn the flash, and now he must fight. He turns around, does so much damage. Trance still trying to get out. The Bombers finds the carry, and this is just it. They wipe him, and they'll be able to push in and win the game,
and with a huge TP flank on the backside, double TPs from both solo laners, they get the fight they need. Tiger now with GA able to flank on the back end of the fight once again. Wins the AD carry off and just deals so much damage.
They must go for this. You can see their base is under fire. If only they can take the turret down. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to end 15 seconds on Shock. They'll be able to get the inhibitor.
Do they go for 2? They're incredibly tanky. Alistar, Mundo, they can sit and whack away at this one for just so long. Seb is relegated to base defense duty. Certainly 4 seconds on Orianna, 10 on the gangplank.
So they will be able to pick up 2 inhibitors. So they return the favor. But now the teleport is available on Pat Bryce. Is this play going to go in the opposite direction?
Do we just see it? No AD carry available. So in terms of damage threat from Tectonic, it will just be the gangplank and the Orianna. And no, they don't look for a flank. And this fight, this game is so back and forth. Tectonic, earlier they had the lead. Bombers find themselves that Baron contest. Once again, Tectonic in the base. Bombers find a huge collapse, and just this never say die attitude from the Essendon Bombers lineup here, and it's proving hugely successful.
Can we get a look at the gold, please, Mr. Observer? 3,600 picked up for Tiger, and he still has himself the Stormrazor, so he's going to go back and sell that, you would presume. 2,100 available right now. Does he sell the Stormrazor and pick himself up a second? No, he sells a GA first.
Didn't actually use the active in that fight.
Gets himself a Bloodthirster.
Oh, okay, no, doesn't like that one.
Undoes that one.
Goes PD. Wants the safety. 80 carry off in a 1v1.
Still
PD.
doesn't sell the Stormrazor.
Does a nice job. And Mr. Observer, how much gold does he have left? 1.5. So he could probably sell Stormrazor and
buy GA.
Yeah. So doesn't opt in. For the majority of this game, we've been talking about value scaling up on the Xayah, but absolutely overtaken by Tiger here. Now 10-2. Coming out of absolutely nowhere. It all started with that Baron play, that dash into the backline, immediately picking up multiple threats, and now in every single team fight, he seems to be the one dishing out the damage.
Well, it's the safety versus the aggression. You would think value should be able to go untargetable, should be able to live, but Tiger just keeps diving into the backline time and time again. Absolute nuisance.
And it's hard, as a Rakan, you talked about it in Champ Select, it's very hard to get onto an invisible AD carry. She can move around so much. She has the flash available. In terms of summoner advantage, both carries, in terms of shock and value, both lacking the summoner right now. Elder Dragon number 2 spawning, so...
Bomber's out of position here. However, that is big damage coming across. You could see that they were so worried about Tiger diving in and assassinating Shock.
That is just so much here, Seb. Maybe getting caught. Sybil looking for a body slam, doesn't hit, and now he's caught off in the rest of the team.
Yeah,
Ripped
once
back.
again, and this time they will go in. He's dead, and they will look for more as they continue forward. No, this should just be the Elder Drake going over to the Bombers.
And once again, the jungler is the member that gets picked on. They're looking for the contest around the bottom side. 4 versus 5, but they have the damage. Gangplank. They have the Xayah, they have the Orianna, they're going.
Trance is going to go for it. Rosie onto the back line. We'll get a 3-man headbutt pulverized. Will take a lot of damage. Value is still dishing it out, but the Elder Dragon will fall.
And nobody willing to commit to the play there. The damage constantly, you kite over from an Orianna, from a Gangplank into a Xayah Rakan. Bombers, despite picking up the Elder, didn't actually commit to the play, so they play it slow, want to deal with these waves, shove it in. They have 2 inhibs taken. They'll be respawning fairly soon, but just want to get control of the waves to the Baron spawning in about 30 seconds.
And you would say for the Bombers, if they win this game 2-0, their season is still alive. So you can understand the pressure. You can understand why they don't want to overcommit in these fights when things can go wrong. Because this is do or die by an organization that at the start of the year was picked up by the Essendon Football Club, one of the biggest sporting organizations within Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, that was some damage. Half HP onto Value. Still summonerless, and the Baron will be started up. Tectonic tentatively trying to contest this one, but no vision available. They're not going to commit.
You can see Papraz is farming up top lane. He's got himself an IE. He has no crit apart from the first crit of the Stormraiser. You would argue that that is not a worthwhile item to pick up. This stage of the game probably should have been a Phantom Dancer first.
But once again, we find ourselves in this situation. Much easier here for the Bombers now that they have 2 inhibs taken, but Rosie flashless on the Alistar. They really don't have the ability to start up and engage if they want to. If they can get through this choke point against the Orianna or against the Gangplank, it'll make life a whole lot easier. But as you see, the ball comes down, the GP around there with the kegs, and they do just back away to the bottom side, looking to take down the last remaining inhib. And Tectonic just still trying to hold on. It's a very rough fight against Baron, against Elder. But they've been holding on for a very long time.
And those Ws are becoming increasingly more important to dodge.
Not to mention the Swain Ws as well. They're starting fights, just chunking everyone. That one doesn't land, but would have done a whole boatload of damage.
Certainly does, not to mention giving the souls over. So important for Luch to have 5 before the fight starts.
Oh,
once again, a W going wide there from Tiger.
Wave did get pushed out very nicely here for Tectonic in the mid lane. So in terms of crashing super creeps, will be a while away here. Elder Dragon doesn't last very long. They probably have about 20 seconds before it times out. Pillar and Rip back gets the flash from Shock.
Certainly does. Now he needs to be careful, but that is a very nice keg coming across from Papraz. The Eye of Sauron doing so much damage right now, and Papraz missed that keg, so the 2 cannon creeps are still here, and all of the turrets in the base are gone.
And they're so tanky. As soon as they shoo away the carry, Orianna burns the flash, has no heal. The Mundo steps up to the plate. They don't care about the pitiful damage that a turret can deal. Sleeping.
However, now into the backline they go, and they get the carry as well. However, Sybil also falls down, and you can just see Luch zoning them away. And without the ability for Trance to start the fight, they will take the next inhibitor.
Yeah, it is the 1-for-1, but ultimately probably value for Tectonic. Sure, they lose the Gragas, but he already got the pick off with the cast. Engage onto 2.
Actually has to flash away immediately. However, Shockwave will whiff, and they just walk away.
Very nice flash from Tiger. Has to burn both summoners, but so much damage between these 4 members of Tectonic. Rosie still no flash. Angry fisted the ground before. Wants to get the engage. Rip back,
is there onto the Orianna, and they will start the fight one more time. Tiger goes into the back line and gets his man. Now Papraz trying to kite out. However, Seb goes forward, and that is the top laner into GA, and you can just see they're waiting for him to respawn, and he will fall down. It is Value, the last man standing right now, and he has no friends to help him.
And can they actually end here? Bases are coming out. Advanced recall here with the Baron buff. TP up and available for Luch, so he's going to come back to the play. You mentioned death timer, only 10 on Sybil, but 2 members won't be enough to defend the Nexus.
He's waited 6 weeks to get into the OPL, and now he is a 1-man army. Value is just being chased back to his fountain. Come on, young man, you got to do something. But he cannot, and Bombers will take all 3 points.
And the bottom of the table clash between these 2 teams. Game number 2, so back and forward. Tectonic, they had the lead for large portions. Value is so incredibly strong, but the fact that Bombers, they keep finding those picks, they keep ripping team fights out of nowhere, and as you mentioned, all 3 points bounding up the ladder.
You say bottom of the ladder, they're now 5th. And you would think that if the next game goes the way most people think, it will go,
Yep.
with Chiefs picking up the points, that they will remain 5th for the weekend.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You talked about in the interview, asking Windows Monkey how they feel their season's going. They want to make that push. Well and truly have started it here today. Going up into Legacy, then Mammoth, and then ending off the season with Chiefs. Will be tough ending the season like that, but definitely a different Bombers we saw here today.
Sharp said it. 3 points are important. When you go into games where you are the outright favorite, you must take 3 points. To do it in a game that you would argue was a 50-50 before this show starts is even more important. They did it the hard way, game number 2. Game 1 was very clean, very methodic, calculated, well thought out. Game number 2, honestly, was just an old clown fiesta, and they came out on top.
And back in the day, last split, we were talking about Rosie, Alistar winning them games, right? This game was all about the flanks, all about the picks. It started in the top jungle, that initial pick onto Sybil to contest the Baron over the Golem camp. They just found him so many times, time and time again, and Tiger in the backline diving in. It was the all-out aggression from a team like Bombers, who are traditionally pretty passive.
That's what impressed me, was Tiger at the start of that game was flirting around the back line, trying to get some damage in. When the game was there to be won, he just went in, and he, time and time again, was either there to kill value or shock. And he was, by the end of the game, staying alive whilst doing it, and just, going from strength to strength.
And that's the thing. There was that one fight under Tectonic's mid-inhib where value, almost one-hits the Kai'Sa. And that was the only time it happened. Every single team fight from that point, around the Baron, around the Elder Drake, was the Kai'Sa getting into the backline and just taking it over there to the Xayah, and honestly was just winning that match. He was so incredibly strong in the back end and was the difference.
Well, emphatic fashion last night, Bombers were able to take down the Sydney Swans today. They take down Tectonic. A man that would be very happy with both wins is longtime Essendon Football Club fan, and we'll throw it over to Rosie now, who's on the couch.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Rosie. I saw you on the news earlier in the week as well. They did a special on you guys and Essendon in general. Congratulations now, of course, appearing on a much more important show.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's good to have Bombers back on the couch. That last game was epic. 50 minutes. How are you feeling?
I think both games were a bit of a... It's probably the longest 2-game series I've ever played in my life. 40 games and then 55 or something. So yeah, my heart's still racing a bit.
I really liked your Pike game one, by the way.
Pike?
A lot better than mine. You actually got all resets. I didn't know you could do that.
The resets are easy, It literally, the bar ends up going red and you're like, oh, this is free.
Oh, is it? Do I? So is that something that you're comfortable on? Because I noticed that when you play these champs, these playmaking support champs like Alistar and Rakan and Pike, that's just really where you're at home. So is that just a thing that your team does around you, or?
I guess it depends. I guess traditionally I've been known for mage support, so it's not really engage. But I guess I've really always loved playing kind of pick focus champions, so Thresh, Morgana, Bard. But yeah, now Pike seems to fit really well into the meta, and just it gives our team something to work off. Because generally last split earlier on, it's we didn't really have much to go in, so I feel it's kind of been a bit on me for engages. But I think it's less so now. Our team's really kind of as TJ would said, there's blood in the eyes now. People want to go forward, they want to make a fight. So, but yeah, just playing pick champions like Pike, I just love playing him. I get kills as well. So.
When I'm playing Alistar and I do the big loop-de-loop behind them and do the flank, I call it the Rosie. I'm like, all right, fellas, I'm doing the Rosie.
Well, that's how many times I did it split one.
Yeah, every 2 seconds you just appear behind me. I'm like, ah.
I had to do something,
My final question is, I forget it. What was it?
Upstairs you were talking about value and coming up against...
Oh, yeah, that was it. I haven't versed him yet. How is he?
I'm not even sure. I play with nameplates off and stuff, so it's going into a game, it's no matter which bot lane, it's you're just versing the champions, right? I don't really... sometimes players have different play styles, but going into bot lane, it's it's a Xayah Rakan, right? They're just going to play Xayah Rakan like most people would play it.
I like that.
So you kind of just have to play the matchups how they are, rather than I'm versing, say, Rogue today. He's probably going to be pretty damn aggressive, But yeah, it's just champion-based, in my opinion.
Knowing that today you were going up against that new lineup, even if you weren't paying attention or concerned about it, let's say, during the game, we've been teased with value for so many weeks. Is it just a relief to finally have him here, see what he can do, and start working around that?
I guess it's really good for them because I know they've mainly been like scrimming with him. So I guess like it's really good for Tectonic to finally like have him playing. And I guess it would suck for him like missing out on like 7 weeks of OPL or 6 weeks. So I guess it's just really good for him, really good for like the team. And I guess to beat them, it feels really good to get like that 2-0 over like a full strength roster rather than, you know, other teams beating them with a sub.
Absolutely. Good. Well, congratulations, man. Good to have you on the couch. Good to have Bombers back here. Please stick around. We've got some highlights of those games. And up next, we're going to Chiefs versus Avant.
Comes in and that is Shock getting absolutely deleted. Paprise isn't even here, but they will continue. A great rip back, and you can see Value right now is popping off. Flashes forward onto Tiger. So much damage. He's out of the fight. Now Sleeping just trying to kite around. Have a very nice rip from Luch. He eventually will fall. And this is Value just pumping out so much damage. Doesn't get the rip back. He does. Triple kill for Value. This is now a 5v4. Luch already has to go into Zonyas. And Value is doing so much damage. But Tiger goes and gets him and shuts him down. And now it is just Shock and Paprise trying to put in the damage. Shockwave is about to come off cooldown. There it is. It's a 3-man Shockwave again, and Luch will fall down. Now it's just the tanks, and that will be a very nice kick. Chucking Sleeping back, a double kill for Shock. That's a huge pillar, and Shock will fall down. No, he's still alive. Shutdown will come across. Finally, Shock is out of it. However, Rosie punted Paprise over the wall. That is not what you wanted. However, now Luch caught him out. Trance still trying to get out. The Bombers finds the carry, and this is just it. Value is just being chased back to his fountain. Come on, young man. You got to do something. But he cannot, and Bombers will take all 3 points.
Welcome to Around the Rift. We're back after a short break due to contract negotiations. There's a lot of League of Legends to catch up on. Let's get started with the CIS and the LCL region. Now they've only just started back with Split 2 of their season, and that is because they took a few weeks off to play in the LCL Open Cup. Now it was a tournament that took place and it finished last week. I'm personally not too familiar with tournaments, so I've brought in an expert that can take us through it. Thanks for joining us, Benji. Please take us through the tournament.
Happy to be here, Benji.
The LCL teams played in 2 4-man groups, followed by a top 4 double elimination bracket. The tournament story was that of Gambit versus M19. They both advanced out of Group B, with Gambit winning the matchup 2-1. They met again in the winners bracket final, where Gambit defeated them again 2-1. M19 then went through the losers bracket, defeating Group A winner Vega Squadron to face off a final time against Gambit in the grand final. Having been knocked down twice, M19 were ready to take it to the LCL champions. Like the Mighty Ducks versus the Icelandic team, they had learnt their lessons and were ready to prove themselves. Gambit, however, didn't get the script and defeated M19 a 3rd time in the tournament, 3-1, and were crowned the champions of the LCL Open Cup. That's all you need to know about the LCL Open Cup.
Back to you, Benji.
Thanks for coming on the show. I'm told we have a live cross with one of our many reporters in the field. Let's send it over to him now. I am the LPL correspondent here, and we are really in the thick of things here. Behind me is the beautiful Sydney Harbour. Now, if you and I were to jump into that beautiful blue water, swim past that iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge, and were to continue northwest for 62.5 days, we would be in China. We would be in the LPL studio, and we would witness a masterclass of League of Legends. Right now, we have 2 distinct packs in each group fighting for the top spots. In the East region, we have Invictus Gaming, JD Gaming, and Royal Never Give Up, all within 1 win of each other. IG are leading the table at 8-1 and could push their lead out further, as they are a game behind the other 2 teams who have already played 10. In the West region, we have the Rogue Warriors, Edward Gaming, and Snake Esports all sitting within 1 win of each other. This group is intense. A single loss could drop the Rogue Warriors from 1st to 3rd. Now, if you're looking to make the swim to catch these teams, I recommend leaving a month ago. That would get you there in time for the playoffs. That's all from us here. Back to you in the studio. Seriously though, who hired that guy? What? Moving on to the LMS, who reached the halfway point in their league. Out to a clear lead are the Flash Wolves at 7-0. Last weekend, they defeated Mad Team, who were neck and neck with the Wolves for the first 3 weeks of the split. But with the victory, Flash Wolves have got a 2-win lead over the rest of the teams. Following at 5-2 are J-Team, who had a fantastic week, getting wins over AHQ and Matchy Esports, creeping into the 2nd place spot. That's all we have time for. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Hungry Jack's new pulled beef burger. Slow-cooked pulled beef with crispy slaw and paired perfectly with new pulled beef loaded chips. Cooked slowly, but enjoyed quickly.